Welcome everybody, welcome back to the Tomb of Illumination, and welcome to those who have never seen a video of mine before. You've been missing out. We talk about the true physics of our realm, and it has nothing to do with the globe. The globe has been totally debunked on my channel, but because I'm shadow banned it never gets out there, and nobody in authority wants to talk to me because they know it's against their narrative. They do not want my information spreading, okay? And there's lots of levels to it. But anyway, putting that aside, today's lesson is about Lambda, the 11th letter of the Greek alphabet. And this came about from a short clip on TikTok regarding the phi and the Fibonacci and the Hebrew letters and what they mean. Okay, so there's another big video coming on that one, but this is like, as soon as you start looking into this sort of thing, it just opens up like a can of worms. So I just stopped trying to organize it because the video would have just got longer and longer and longer, and then I've got to remember all this stuff off the top of my head. So I've just pinched the fraction and then I start writing it down, organising it, and then I get to this word alphabet. So then I start breaking that down. So I've got to stop and go back to the original video. Okay. So it's about Lambda and how we use this this word in physics. So by the time this gets really interesting. So by the time that video ends, you can't tell me that the people who run this world don't understand the physics of the flat earth, because I'm about to explain it all, okay? So bear with me. I've got information all over the place. First, you've got to understand the flat earth system. They keep telling us we don't have a model. I've got a model, but it's like any map. If you're traversing the sea, the ocean, the world, you just can't do it off one single map, can you? No, if you want to pinpoint an area you want to get to, it all breaks down. You've got maps galore, because you can't map the whole world and follow it with one diagram unless it's flipping 5 miles in diameter or something, the map. So anyway, just follow along and you'll learn a lot. Understanding, if we could look down on Earth, it looks like this. Actually, see an enema. And is that the word? Is that how you say it? Or you can imagine it as a ring magnet. The black hole center of the universe, or our world, because our world comes out of this, our earthly system comes out of that dead center. It's a black hole center, which isn't that. That's the northern hemisphere. So our northern hemisphere on this magnet is around here, and there's a dielectric between the two fields here, where the field goes like this. The field comes up and over and goes down like that, and then comes up like this. Okay? It forms the infinity symbol, where the system goes like this. Well, there's this point in here. It's in here, okay? So you can put the magnet like this. There's the magnet. So you go, I think that's north, and then you got south, and then there's that south, okay? So if you get two magnets like this, let's say this is a bar magnet, you put one end around to here, so that's the end of your bar magnet. You put your other bar magnet here. Well, this end here is going to come around to here, right? You know what I mean? So there'll be a north here and a south there. So they're going to stick together. They're going to stick together. But you flip that over, and then they don't. Then they repel, because then they'll be both S's, both norths, okay? There's understanding magnetism. Then you start understanding the flat earth system. And you've got to understand the inertial plane. See, it's in the centre there. That ball bearing just stuck. There's an inertial plane in there, and this is where Earth is from. The inertial plane of Earth is flat and fixed and stationary. Look, it's fixed. It's locked in there. This is where Earth is from. That's why it's fixed and stationary. But all the action, look, see, look, all this movement was all around the horizon. All the actions around here. Particularly when you create the sun, because then you get everything in motion then. The moving sun changes the magnetic field. The changing magnetic field moves the sun. It moves all the way around in here. Look. Okay. So this is the northern hemisphere in here. Right in the centre Arctic is the black hole that we cannot get to and we do not see. We don't know anything about it. Our whole realm has come out of there. Okay? So it's all expressed out in a wave form, and it's all magnetic fields that curve like this. Okay? They curve out like that. And for every one of these, there's one out here. But they come out of here. So all the energy comes out of there. But in the south, all the energy comes out of here. Okay? It goes around like this. So you draw your golden ratio if you want, around like this. I've done this plenty of times, so this is repetitive to all of my followers, but for all you new people, that's the way it works. The magnetic field, the sun in the south comes from here, the sun in the north comes from in here and comes around. And this is where we're all made to believe that the sun is in here. And that's one way to think of it happening, because it works like that in one part of the model. The magnetic field comes around to here, that magnetic field comes around to here, and this is the only point when the two will merge across into here, and boom. But you have to watch earlier videos on that. I'm not here to talk about that. So if you put a slice through this and then look through it, the cross section, we get this image here, but you're thinking, well, hang on, it's very small in here and big out here. How is it working up here? Well, that's looking down on the whole field, if you could see the whole plane of Earth at one time. But then when I slice it through here and draw it like this, this is relative to the observer in every position on Earth. So if you could see this portion, and this portion, this portion, this portion, all at once, you've got to imagine it like this, all even. But otherwise, if you stood back, sliced the Earth and stood back, it's going to look like this, isn't it? And what does that look like? A turtle. Wow. I wonder why they have turtles or even an igloo looking like that. Because everything on Earth replicates something in creation. This is creation. Okay? Now, lambda in physics I used dishwashing soap to clean the board. It's the best stuff to use. And then just wipe it with a wet cloth. I had it all over my eraser. So lambda in physics is this point here between the peaks, okay? Between the peaks. Now I'm going to read some stuff I've taken screenshots from online that'll help you understand it all. But you've got to understand these points here represent these points here. In their physics. Okay, because I'm going to break it all down. Because the magnetic field goes like this, it goes up here like this, there, and then drops straight down here. and then goes through here, all the way along here, the ground here, comes up and over it and goes up to here, then drops down here, then goes all the way along here, and then goes up there. Now, before I get onto that, I'm just trying to describe it here. So the field in here is the northern hemisphere. This is the northern hemisphere in here, the northern hemisphere, okay? The southern hemisphere, and this is your night sky in the northern hemisphere. It all revolves around Polaris, and Polaris is the center. It's just off center. Why is it just off center? Because Polaris represents the sun, the sun's night view in the north of the sun on the horizon of the black hole. There's the black hole center that we don't see. This is why they say look up, because the only time you can understand it, if I explain it well to you, you'll understand it. You see creation for what it is. Okay, so you're seeing all the stars going around in the northern hemisphere up in here. But only because they're coming out of here. Because this in here does an S cycle over the night. Okay? And this is the vortex below the 2D plane, where we get the 3D depth. This is understanding 3D, because it comes from the 2D plane and then you get all this 3D depth. So it's like in the 3D movies where we see, you know, you've got the background there and you've got this thing coming towards you, 3D depth. Okay? You could say there's the background star, and there's your planet coming at you. Woof. There's this depth here. It's magical because it's all to do with magnetism. Okay? And this is what we've got here. So in the night sky, you've got it's all projected up into the night sky. You've got your stars up there you see from in here. And in amongst there you've got your odd planet. You can see, well, obviously you can only see them in a half cycle. Okay? Now, talking about half, in physics, they refer to a half-life. A half-life. Half-life, half-shelf, half-life. Half-life, it's a cycle. Well, from there over to there is a half cycle. So this field coming over here to there, that boundary, is this field here. And then it drops straight down to the ground. There's the ground. Okay? And from here over to there, it drops straight down to the ground. So there is a half cycle. Okay? You're going to make these connections in a minute. So what happens is the field, its highest energy point is here. Okay? It's its lowest state there. And what happens in quantum mechanics, or whatever you want to call it, it's in physics, down here is its lowest state. And to finish its cycle, it has to find a pairing to help it get across, to get back to creation basically, get back to its beginning. So all these are always seeking equilibrium. So you could call them electrons, okay? This is how they like to describe it, that something's moving. So they call them electrons. Then you get all these guys arguing, no such thing as an electron. But you've got to understand, you've got to name it something. The field. This goes all the way back to the beginning here. So each side wants to seek the other side. Because this southern side is the weak field. Or the weak force. They don't want to admit in, a lot of these science wannabes don't want to admit it, but it is the weak force, and basically in electromagnetism. Electromagnetism. Weak and strong force. Because it's basically a magnet. That's what a magnet is. A magnet. There's a magnet. It's really like this. It's a phi ratio basically. So you go 3 to 2. This is the north and this is the south. This one, the weaker, more dispersed field, wants to seek this stronger field to find a balance, and this, you know, compressed high energy field wants to release itself to find equilibrium to go to here. And this is the cycle of life. Okay, everything's trying to seek equilibrium, seek balance. So the high energy gets up here, and then science calls this radioactive decay. Falls back down here to find a pairing to get to the other side. So they're both weak, but they find enough energy to get to either or back to where they want to go. Okay? It's like the male and female swim out to the middle of the lake to find a pairing, which they pair, and then they drown. This in the story, but it just keeps the cycle going. So in physics, they used to tell us that the electrons go towards the sun, but not all go into the sun. Others pass by. So they know the whole system, because what they're basically saying is, there's your sun, we're told it's in the tropics here. That's where they find pairing up here, of the pairing. So there's this 3 to 2 pairing going on, okay? 3 to 2. So in the pairing, you get 2 to 2, which is equals the black hole, feeds the black hole center, which is the state of rest. State of rest. But the friction here is the sun, feeds the sun. That's how the sun is created, through the friction of the imbalance, which is, you could say, electrostatics. Statics. But at the same time, it's the metaphysical capacitor plates and the dielectric. Dielectric, okay? Happening in here. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. And you'll find like the South Americans, fabrics they used to make, and they've been making them for hundreds, thousands of years. They always have this design going on somewhere in their images, don't they? Well, you know, everything they do is about everything we do, it replicates creation, like I said earlier. That's where it goes back to. It goes back to this zone here. So there's a quick rundown of that. So I'll read. Right, so what I'm getting at here is that, yeah, these 2 points here represent these 2 points here. Okay? Then they decay. There's the pairing. I've been through that. So let's maybe, so I don't lose you, I'll take a photo of that. I've got that one, so I'll go back. What do we got here? Flat space, that's yesterday's Euclidean geometry, Farah, Pegasus, solar system. Okay, right, so in physics, lambda, I'll show you the waves. I'll put the line through here for you. That's the trough, okay? Most commonly used to represent wavelength, spatial period of wave distance between consecutive peaks. It is also widely used for the radioactive decay. Okay? Decay. There's radiation. They describe this area in here, this dielectric zone, as the radiation. This is where we get, this is the tropics in here. This is all the tropics. Okay, this is why everything's racing to the tropics, because the high pressure going to the low pressure zone. Or you could say the cold's going to the racing to the hot, warm. Both finding equilibrium. They race to this point, but they can't cross because of the dielectric zone here. Which is, and this actually means the firmament, okay? Understand, these 2 points, I'll put it on this side, represent the firmament, because They are both south poles. They are hemispheres. These are poles. And then here's the north. Out there's the north. There's your north. There's your south. There's your south. They don't tell you all this stuff. You only find it here. Fact. Two south poles. That's why you get this non-attraction, repulsion, electrostatic repulsion. Repulsion. And it's firmament. So we get, you've seen the old style like Ptolemy and others, the motions of the spheres, or whatever he calls it, when you've got the ecliptic plane, he's drawn all the planets here, all the concentric circles. Well, you'll find he's got firmament out here. Firmament. Because this boundary line is all, they always draw them, well, they represent the northern hemisphere, because the southern hemisphere is a mirrored image and it's all around. So, you know, so you've got a circle here, you could have a circle here which mirroring the north, okay? But they're infinite because they're all mirrored out from the north. Okay, so forget the south for now. It's all about the north here. That's the first state of projection into our realm. This is Cancer. Cancer. This is Capricorn. This boundary line here. And they're there. Well, they're both south poles. So there's going to be a firmness, a firm repulsion equals firmament. Okay? So you look at it that way, down on a plane, here and here, in between you can say is the firmament. They drew it out here on the plane, but this is the 2D plane up here, but we are perpendicular to creation, or right angles to it. So everything becomes vertical in our realm. So now you draw the planetary system like this, vertically, and there's our plane, and everyone's got confused thinking there's the firmament holding up the sky. There's the firmament holding up the sky, when really it's representing this outer planetary region of Cancer. Okay? You understand that? These are your planets on their different cycles, concentric cycles. You know, this makes them think you live on a ball, but you don't live on a ball. It's a long story too. I've done videos on that, okay? Understanding this. So that firmament is this firmament, or this firmament here or around here. It's between the dielectric. It's the two south poles, okay? So let's get back to Lambda. This is what I mean. I can't prepare a video. There's a never ending point. So I'll just go with what comes into my mind. So distance between consecutive peaks. It is also widely used for the radioactive decay constant in nuclear physics. So this is nuclear energy being created. There's this friction here between here. Radioactive decay constant in nuclear physics. Linear charge density in electromagnetism. And the cosmological constant in general relativity. Okay? This is constant. Constantly feeding the sun. And there's an abundance of energy. So there's always finding an equilibrium to feed the sun back into the... I'll give you the rest of the picture, shall I? This this is attached to the sun is tucked into the Milky Way. So we see the Milky Way is across the sky like this at night, but in our physical realm, you can this is actually the Milky Way inside here. Okay, that's going too deep. I know this is all esoteric stuff to most people, especially when they've been indoctrinated for so long. And then the sun's created right here where the two meet, because you've got this end of the Milky Way and then you've got this field that rushes up here. Bang, where they meet, they crack the sun. The same as, see, that's vertically, and then you've got the horizontal, the two here, meeting to create the sun in our realm. Back in creation it's this way. See the difference? And so you've got the half cycle. Well, to there is a half cycle, isn't it? A half life. Half life, because the full life cycle is over, down, up and over, down, up and over. The infinity symbol. There's the full magnetic cycle. It's one full magnetic cycle, which is like this, of course. Gee, what does that look like? Yes, 1 year is the sun's cycle, but it's happening daily around the earth because the field's always coming in like this. And if the sun's not there to feed it, then the field gets dropped down here, just drops down there when the sun's not around. There's no meeting point. It has to have the sun there to meet, for the fields to meet. The electrical and the changing magnetic field. Changing as it crosses. Shot. Okay, radioactive decay constant. In nuclear physics, it represents the probability per unit time that a nucleus will decay, inversely proportional to the half-life. Okay, decay. Otherwise they find it pairing up there. Okay, so this pairing feeds the black hole centre of creation back to the Milky Way, and the pure plasma sun, the actual sun. That's the image we see. So this is our reality, and this is the way physics and everyone wants to teach you. But to understand this fully, you need to understand where it's all coming from. Back in here. Because we're deceived out here. And all the esoteric books tell you you're being deceived. The Bible, everything tells you you're being deceived. Your eyes are deceiving you. Because it's all a projection, a holographic projection. See the 3D depth I was talking about? Holographic. Linear charge density. In electrostatics, it's described the amount of electrical charge per unit length on a line or wire. Cosmological constant, often denoted by a capital Lambda, it represents the energy density of space or dark energy in Einstein's field equation of general relativity. I've done videos on that too, general relativity and special relativity. Okay, now this is the lowercase symbol for lambda. So look what we've got here. This S. This is the half cycle, isn't it? It's a half cycle. So there you go, like this. A half cycle. It's like that actually, because it actually goes like this. Because you're coming out of there, you're coming out of here. This is where our sun comes from. Sun comes from in the southern hemisphere, out of here, and you got the same loop in here for the northern hemisphere. Okay, southern hemisphere, south, north. What was I talking about? Can't can't remember. Oh, going back to here. So there's a half cycle, and they talk about half life and whatever. But look what we've got here. We've got this coming off. Well, what have I drawn up here coming off? Coming out back into here. It's probably connected to the Eye of Ra. The Eye of Ra, where they draw it like this. And this comes out like this. And then this shoots down like this somehow, doesn't it? I can't remember now. Because this goes back to this point here. What's this point here? That's the Physicopiscus. That's the whole creation story, but we'll get on to that in a minute. This here represents the Milky Way. The Milky Way. Now the Milky Way is 90 degrees off the ecliptic, 60 degrees off the ecliptic, they say. Well, that's a 60-degree angle if you work on that plane. Now, people are going to moan about that. Well, you don't understand the full model. Understand the whole model, you'll understand, and believe me what I'm saying here. 60 degrees off the plane. Understanding the 3:2 ratio, everything. So, trust me on that one. Now, Lambda is the 11th letter of the Greek alphabet. So then I write down the word alphabet and I think, hang on a minute, what? Let's have a look at the word alphabet. So alpha means the beginning, right? And basically bet is the thereafter. So everything in our realm is about creation. Creation is the story of man becoming a living man. It's a spiritual rebirth that everybody has to go through in this world, in this physical world, before he dies. Not when he's dead. All the Egyptian stuff is not about when your physical body's dead, because that's no bloody good to you, okay? You've got to do it when you're alive, because it's all consciousness. It's a psychological shift. It's a spiritual rebirth. And that's what the whole Jesus story is all about. Become a living man. Currently a dead entity, whereby the physical body and world leads the mind into deception, deceit. Okay? You are fooled, not vice versa. A living man has his mind. It's about the mind leading the body. He's governed because he's on a higher, he reaches a higher conscious state. He starts to understand everything. So where's my nice little pointy thing? So understanding this alpha thereafter, and then, or you can break it down to bet, the alphabet. Between two, it's a bet. You can say a bet is between two, which takes you into duality. So there's creation right there. If you want to understand more about this, you've got to go to my Patreon, okay? What does the Physicopiscus mean? Dual. Creation story. And then we go into the Hebrew bet, is the second letter of the alphabet, and that's on my phone. We'll get into that in a minute. This bet expands into beat, to make good, or to make better, which is your life cycles. You are here on a journey to improve consciously, to finally reach your rebirth, to become this living man. So also, there's no zero there, also to amend or improve. You're improving your journey, because life is a journey and you have to wake this thing up. Journey through life, each reincarnation. We're all reincarnated over and over and over again until you become a living man. Okay? There's the sun cycle over the year. Man goes through his life cycle over his life period. You know, the stars do this, the moon does this. The stars do it per day, the moon does it per month, and the sun does it per year. Okay? So we've got 3 columns, haven't we? Imagine 3 columns. This column, this column, this column. You go sun, moon, Stars. Well, in the Bible, we have, this isn't on my mind, give me a second. We have 150s. One part of the book, somewhere in there, it says hundreds, 50s, ones, I think. But anyway, you've got to understand years. So they say years, right? Years. Years are days and degrees. Degrees. Okay? And this is years, because it's all to do with 1 yearly tropical cycle. Tropical cycle. 1 year. This is why they use the word year. Years. So if Noah lived 950 years, we've got to think, hey, what does this mean? Okay, this could be, this is, you got 3 columns here, 9, 5 and 0. 9 degrees. I haven't got it on my mind, sorry. It's in my other videos. 9 degrees. Could be 50 minutes. No. Yeah, no, I haven't got it on my mind. You have to check out my earlier videos. It gets complicated. Anyway, because I don't retain information very well, this is why I've got to spit a video as soon as I get onto the topic. So let's go back to this bet and stuff. Okay, bet, the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Okay, so bet, the second letter of the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet, fundamentally meaning house or tent. This is going back here. There's the house and there's the tent. Okay, the Physica-Piscus. Okay. It's all about creation. Coming back to your rebirth, the living man, creation. Everything in our world is about creation. It's about man's creation and the creation of earth. It represents a dwelling place, a duality. Duality. Okay? Duality. You got duality, you got north-south poles. 2 south, 2 north. Represents a dwelling place, duality. Numeral value of 2. And creation. Serving as the first letter of the Torah to signify the start of the physical universe. Nothing really begins until you go through your rebirth, your creation story. That is the beginning, which is then connected to the to number 8, Hebrew, beginning, something like that. 8 being the beginning of this cycle. Remember they tell you on the 8th day they chop the penis skins off the little boys? Because the man, has been reborn. It's a spiritual thing, and these flipping morons are chopping the physical skin off a baby boy, not understanding the spiritual essence, the spiritual meaning, understanding of the whole thing. Circumcision comes within the brain here. It's about the brain. What is happening inside the brain? So the first letter of the Torah to signify the start of the physical universe. It can also act as a prefix meaning in, at, or with. In, at, or with, that divine position there, and it's all celestial. That's all I've got there. Alphabet. And this all came about from Phi, the golden ratio. So this is going to take a long time to download, but I'll keep going. the Hebrew alphabet, when they start talking about the letters representing numbers, and they had the mother represents mother. Mother represented 41. The father in Arabic, because it represents the black hole of creation. The moon is Mary. Mary, father, black hole. We don't get to see. No one sees the Father, but you've got to go through Christ. Who's Christ? So you've got the Mother, the Father, and the Holy Ghost. Holy G, host. You, the initiate, or the Christ. Because we're talking about Christos here. Christos, the oil, the anointing oil within the brain. Holy Ghost, you've got the black hole, the Father, and then you've got the Son and the Son on the earthly scale. You're the Son as the Christ. Then you've got the Son on the earthly scale. So the earth and the man's awakening, the Son of Man, you've got the Son of Earth. It's a parallel story. Okay? I mean, you've got two hemispheres to your brain, haven't you? What happens if you sync the two hemispheres? You don't know anything about this, go research the papers, CIA papers that have been released concerning the gateway process, okay? What happens when they sync? Illumination. You become a living man. But the gateway process is a temporary process. This divine, spiritual, celestial event is a permanent fixture, hence why the Bible says the gates will be opened. Did I write the word circumcision down? No, I didn't. Circumcision, opening of the gates, and they will not be shut. Okay? A higher consciousness. Black hole Father, the Mother, Mary. Now, you know the Last Supper, you've got Jesus here, and you've got Mary there. There's a V here, and they know that this V represents the feminine. There is the V, the feminine. There's all the stars, and the moon is in here, equals Isis. Okay? This is one of the 4 or 5 divine words that your Freemasons have inverted to create evil, turned into evil entities. What's the other ones? Can't remember. So there's Isis, there's the feminine aspect. Christ being the 13th entity. So people wonder what Ophiuchus represents in the zodiac signs. Well, why is it not included? Well, we only get 12 full moons a year, don't we? Well, you can't have 13. You have 13 sidereal moon cycles, but not 13 full moons. And all this is all represented by the Mother, who is Mary, the full moon, in one of these cycles over the year. Where's the full moons? Well, there's only 12. So you got 12 months of the year, 12 months of the year, 12 full moons. Well, 12 times 12 equals 144. Thou, O-U, and thou, start again, thou send. Okay, you need this to create this, to go through this. It's a long story, all over on my Patreon if you're interested. Yeah, And I'm just reading this book, Breaking the Da Vinci Code. I'm sitting there reading it. It's on the table, coffee table. We go to the movies that night and go see The Devil Wears Prada. What have they got in The Devil's Wear Prada? The painting, the Last Supper. It's right there in my face. And the second time they show the image, what's the first word that comes out of their mouth? Moon. They know all this stuff. And the next word was sun. They know it all. It's all celestial. That the image represents the zodiac symbols, signs, and it's all celestial. The people who run Hollywood know all this stuff. They're up there. The people who run the place or run that show are all living men. They've all gone through their rebirth. They've returned. They can come and go as they please. They're very intelligent people. Very intelligent. Well, that was a lot of information just regarding this. Not much on this really. It's everything else but. So I gave you a lot of information here. Go forth and multiply by sharing it to people, because if you don't get it out there, no one's ever going to know about it. And check out my TikTok, because that goes nowhere. All the people that pass through it are so brain dead, no one's ever sharing it to get all the views. So it's an old one. I couldn't get back into my my later one, but it's Smurf something. It's got these numbers. I don't know where they came from, but look it up. But otherwise, look up Lindsay Harris. I got off Facebook, but now I've just jumped back on, and I was trying to keep it purely this sort of stuff, but I see stuff online, then I go and share it on my Facebook. But anyway, it's under Lindsay Horace. If you want to check it out, not much there. I've just opened it. I put a lot of stuff on TikTok, but all the secret divine stuff is on my Patreon, which is under the Tomb of Illumination, or at Meta 369 9. Bit like my the YouTube channel. I better leave it there. That's going to take ages to download or upload, whatever they say. Thanks for watching. See you later.